We still continue reaction around President Ramaphosa's address earlier on. We're now joined by Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches, joining us via Zoom to give us his reaction on the President's revised measures. Bishop, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Globe. First of all, what's the reaction to the President's speech earlier on?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. As far as churches are concerned, the President has responded to a clamor and an appeal that's been on for some time because churches have been complaining bitterly that they are not able to gather people. It is to be church to gather, and that's what churches have been asking for. The 50 number is still small, especially for the large mega churches. If you got a 5,000-6,000 seater, 50 is nothing. I mean, that's not even the number of your choir, not even the ushers. But most of those churches have got a lot of space. They've got various, rooms in which they can sit their 50s. But they also can have outside where they can have 100 people, even in this code. So I think there is something to be said for what's been achieved, especially because it enables poorer communities to have a gathering because they don't have the data for these Zoom services. So we're reasonably comfortable with what we've got, even though there'll be a lot of dissatisfaction over a number of our congregations. I want to say, though, that the most important thing about the churches is that it enables people to be able to deal with the depression that is striking so many of our families at a time, not so much only because of the deaths that we're experiencing in COVID, but also because of just the job losses and livelihoods that have been lost. So we're very happy to be able to at least be able to minister to people, even in a limited way. But the President spoke about a couple of other things. One of those things was the trouble that we've just been through in the last couple of weeks. Yes. This has seriously destabilized our society, and we need to recognize that it has shaken our society. Yes. There are a number of things that we have to work on. One of those things is, how do we begin to heal ourselves? I mean, if so many people have looted, their conscience must be bothering them, even if it happens because of poverty. There is something of a conscience that bothers you. So we're inviting people to take the trouble to at least make their own contribution as part of their healing, to do something, clean up, contribute. And those who can afford, if the government is going to give 350 rand to people, let all of us commit to some kind of self-tax and give 350 rand a month to the Solidarity Fund, so that that fund is able to make sure that they can assist, especially the businesses that have collapsed as a result of this, especially those small hawkers, people that would otherwise not have any insurance at all. Those kinds of people need assistance at this time. I think we should also be able to recognize that the racist tendencies that have emerged in the course of this. I mean, look what happened at Phoenix. There is no excuse, no justification for the killing of so many people. And those criminals that have done this must be brought to book. But we have to work on those communities in Chatsworth, in Woodlands, in another area, to make sure that, because they're going to continue to live together. So we have to find a way of supporting that reconciliation, rediscovery of their humanity, and deal with the criminality and get it out of the way. One last thing, if you don't mind, is to say that because the President is now, as government is providing for the registration and vaccination of young people from the age of 18, we're delighted with this. You know why? Because you've got matrics that are going to be writing their matrics at the end of this year. And if for any reason a child became infected with COVID during exams, they will never be able to finish their exams. You can imagine what that means for that family to have the child stick around for another year. So it's very important that this is being done, and we're grateful for it. And we would like to encourage people to make sure that they take advantage of this. But in the meantime, those of us, vaccinated or not vaccinated, make sure we stay with mask, with the distance, with hand hygiene, as well as ventilation, even during the winter, because these things will make sure that we all can get back to a measure of normality sooner rather than later.
Bishop Mpumlwana, just a couple of months ago, you said that President Ramaphosa should not categorize gatherings in terms of, religious setups. In short, you say that religious gatherings should have their own category under the lockdown regulations. Will this not pose problems, especially for the churches which are not COVID-19 compliant?
What we are saying is that the very notion of categorizing religious gatherings with political gatherings is problematic because actually, everybody knows that religious gatherings serve a very important psycho-social ministry that no other gathering provides. And so you can't say that they are just gatherings. The churches are not just gatherings. They are actually a part of a healing of a society and sustenance of the very equilibrium of stability. That's very important. So we are saying that this categorization of churches, political parties, casinos, really, no, we don't think so.
Okay.
That's where we are.
Okay, Bishop Mpumlwana, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your reflections on this.
Thanks for having us.